thanks for calling by and welcome to another talk on tips for living. Today I want to talk about a subject close to everybody's heart, I'm quite sure of that, and that is stress. So let me just define some of the terminology I want to use and what stress is. So essentially we all experience in our lives demands, okay? If you like, simply having to get out of bed to get to work or to get to school or college, or to prepare a meal. It's all demands, okay? And we have loads of demands on us every day of the week. Stress is our reaction to those demands, or our reaction to that pressure, if you like. And the thing is that stress is typically an adverse reaction to those demands. So to just, give some examples really. So anxiety, for instance, that can be a stress reaction to demands and pressure. Depression can be. Then you can have physical symptoms. You can have back pain, can be a symptom of stress, stomach pain. Various minor illnesses, inability to sleep, or sleeping too much are all typical physical reactions, really. So some people are very good at handling a lot of demand and not getting stressed out. And other folk find that quite challenging and can only take a few demands. Obviously, some pressure is good because it helps us get out of the bed in the mornings. But what we don't want is this stress. We don't want these physical reactions against the pressure and the demands. So we need to find some strategies, or we need to find some techniques or coping mechanisms to handle that and try to reduce the stress in our life. So this is the first of a number of talks I will do on coping strategies or tips to manage the pressure and the demands on our lives and hopefully help to alleviate the stress. So the first thing I want to do is just talk about God's balance, okay? So quoting from one of the Gospels, quoting from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 11, verses 29 to 30. It's Jesus talking, he says this: "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So if you like, this needs to be an anthem for us. This needs to be just an anthem. That's the best way of putting it, really. So it needs to be our focus and a constant reminder. So as God's people, there is a burden, but the burden is light. And it's his burden that we're being encouraged to take. So if you like, the yoke is well designed. It's designed for the animal. And as long as the two animals pull together in the same direction, then it is very easy. If you try to pull against the yoke, then it's not so comfortable. So for us, if you like, the first tip or the first strategy that I see in coping with the demands and pressures in our lives and helping to reduce the stress is to seek God's will for our lives and to walk in it. So if we're in a place where God doesn't want us to be, or we're trying to do things that God doesn't want us to do, then all that's going to create pressure that we shouldn't be experiencing, and we will have stress as a result of that. So we need to spend time talking to God and understanding his plan for our lives. And whether you know him yet or not, he has a plan for your life. So as I said, there is a burden associated with that, but the emphasis there is on the burden being light. So next practical step or tip that I have is to identify demands and pressures that should be removed. So I'm quite certain there's things going on in your life and things going on in my life that we can remove. Okay, that there can be relationships, there can be things we're doing that doesn't have to be done or shouldn't be done by us. For example, scrolling up. Now, once upon a time, people used to talk about how many hours do you spend watching television. That can still be an issue now with streaming media and people watching box sets. But are you watching too much? Too much social media? To be honest with you, I think social media can be a tremendous source of stress as you get angry reading the things that you read. So I don't know, is there things in your life? But it's just a tip, okay? Identify demands and pressures that should be removed. And then the third tip that I have for today, and that I want to talk about at some length, is identifying those demands and pressures that can be shared with others. So I've got an example I want to talk about from the Old Testament. So just going to read some verses from the book of Exodus. So Exodus describes basically that the calling of Moses as a leader of the Hebrews out of Egypt across Sinai into the Promised Land. And Moses was married, as I'm sure you're aware, and Moses' father-in-law was from Midian, and he's called Jethro. And we pick up the story basically where Jethro is visiting Moses and the people of Israel as they've already come out of slavery and come across the Red Sea, and they are encamped near the mountain of God. And I'm reading from Exodus 18, verses 13 to 16. And so it was on the next day that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood before Moses from morning until evening. So when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did for the people, he said, "What is this thing that you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit and all the people stand before you from morning until evening?" And Moses said to his father-in-law, "Because the people come to me to inquire of God. When they have a difficulty, they come to me, and I judge between one and another, and I make known the statutes of God and his laws." So Jethro, his father-in-law, is absolutely horrified by what he sees Moses doing. And he sounds this, and it's really a warning to him to start with. Exodus 18, so we're reading on verses 17 to 20. So Moses' father-in-law said to him, "The thing that you do is not good. Both you and these people who are with you will surely wear yourselves out. For this thing is too much for you. You are not able to form it by yourself. Listen now to my voice. I will give you counsel, and God will be with you. Stand before God for the people, so that you may bring the difficulties to God. And you shall teach them the statutes and the laws, and show them the way in which they must walk, and the work they must do." Okay, so the first thing he's basically saying to Moses is, Moses, this is crazy. All right, you're just going to wear yourself out, and not only that, you're going to wear the people out because they're just going to be queuing up to see you all day. So the first thing he's saying to Moses is, you need to focus on just talking to the people about these things. Okay, so if you like, he's in business speak, we would say he's rescoping the job. Okay, so he's scoping it in a different way. So Moses is not doing all the things he was doing before, and he's going to focus on these things. Anyway, Jethro goes on, verses 21 to 23. Moreover, you shall select from all the people able men such as fear God, men of truth, hated covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. And let them judge the people at all times. Then it will be that every great matter they shall bring to you, and every small matter they themselves shall judge. So it will be easier for you, for they will bear the burden with you. If you do this thing, and God so commands you, then you will be able to endure, and all the people will also go to their place in peace. So what's the other thing that he's saying to Moses to do here? He's basically saying to delegate, okay, to share the responsibilities of the job. If you like, it's to spread the workload. The Apostle Paul wrote in the book of Galatians, in Galatians 6 chapter 6 verse 2, he says this: bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. So what does that mean in practice? It means share the responsibility and share the workload. And that can be different depending on the situation you're in. Okay, so in a work context, it could be sharing the job that's being done with colleagues. If you look after a team of people, maybe there's stuff you're doing as a team leader that can actually be, or as a manager, that can actually be delegated to your team. And don't over delegate. So make sure you're focusing in on the things that you as the manager need to do. And that was part of what Jethro's advice to Moses was: you do this, this, and this, and focus on those things and delegate the rest. In a family situation, maybe there's things that you can share with your partner. If you have a partner, maybe there's things that can be shared with your children if you have children. So you know your own personal circumstances and situations better than anybody. But there's a kind of strategy to help reduce the demands, and in so do hopefully reduce the stress. So there we have Moses. Jethro advised Moses to rescope the job that he was doing and to delegate. So share the workload. So thanks for watching all the way through. You know how this works. Hit that thumbs up, the like, hit the subscribe button, and listen out for the next video where I plan to talk a little bit more about strategies on managing pressure and demands and hopefully reducing stress. Thank you for watching.